The Eight Immortals Travel East, Chapter 25.
Our mission today is to pull apart this multi-day conversation between a legendary master and a student. We want to figure out what their ancient dialogue reveals about the true nature of mastery, the pursuit of immortality, and, our actual responsibility to the world around us. So whether you're trying to master a new skill for work, or avoid burnout, or just seeking a profound aha moment, this text is surprisingly relevant.
It is. And well, the setting alone gives you a sense of the intensity we're dealing with here. So we have Master Zhongli, who is also referred to as Yunfeng in the text, and his ambitious student Lu Dongbin.
Right.
And they are isolated high up in the mountains, engaged in this relentless philosophical deconstruction of what it actually means to become an immortal. And Lu asks the foundational question, basically, can someone like me actually achieve this ultimate state?
And Master Zhongli's answer, well, it sets up the entire architecture of this text. He tells Lu that, yes, immortality is achievable, but it is not a monolithic prize. He lays out this hierarchy of success consisting of 5 distinct grades of immortals.
Yeah, 5 grades.
Right. And he starts at the absolute bottom with a concept that sounds incredibly bleak. He calls it the ghost immortal.
Bleak is definitely the right word. I mean, Master Zhongli describes the ghost immortal as someone who fundamentally fails to grasp the Tao. And just to clarify for anyone unfamiliar, the Tao in this context refers to the underlying natural order and flow of the universe.
The natural rhythm, basically.
Exactly. And the ghost immortal ignores that rhythm. They just want quick results. So they force the process to get immediate spiritual power.
I read the text's description of their physical state, and it's just visceral. It says their form becomes like dead wood and their color like dead ashes.
Oh, yeah, dead wood.
Right. And they manage to escape normal reincarnation, sure, but they have no real home. They just, like, endlessly re-enter wombs. They become this empty, echoing shell, like a clear ghost.
Well, we have to look at the mechanics of why that actually happens. In Taoist practice, cultivating yourself requires a sustainable source of energy. By forcing the process and rushing for the finish line, the ghost immortal is essentially burning their own vital energy, their internal fuel, right? Without knowing how to replenish it.
Right.
Yeah, they trap their spirit inside themselves in this state of hyper-focused selfishness. They achieve a result, but it destroys the vessel.
The modern equivalent of this feels completely ubiquitous to me. Like, the ghost immortal is the ultimate victim of toxic hustle culture.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the person running on 3 hours of sleep, obsessively hacking their schedule to achieve some arbitrary milestone, entirely disconnected from a larger purpose. They are literally burning the furniture to heat the house. They achieve the milestone, but they cross the finish line looking like dead wood.
They optimize themselves into a state of total emptiness, which, naturally raises the question of how a practitioner avoids that trap. And that's where Master Zhongli presents the second grade, the human immortal.
I looked at the human immortal, and it's honestly just sounded like someone who flat out refuses to adapt.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
The text says they don't grasp the ultimate truth either, but they manage to learn one specific method or trick. And they just practice that one trick with bitter resolve, never ever changing.
It's a very rigid existence. I mean, the mechanism here is intense specialization. By pouring all their discipline into one singular physical practice, they achieve what the text calls a small success. They make their physical body remarkably robust. The text even notes they become completely immune to human plagues and sicknesses.
Okay, so if the ghost immortal is the burnt-out hustler, the human immortal is the hyper-specialized worker.
Right.
Think of, like, the programmer who learned one highly complex, obscure software language 20 years ago. They absolutely refuse to learn any new systems, but they do that one specific job so flawlessly that they have ironclad job security. They are immune to the plagues of corporate layoffs.
But that hyper-specialization creates a ceiling, right? They achieve absolute physical health and security, but they completely miss the bigger picture of spiritual growth because their method is so incredibly narrow. They are surviving perfectly, but they just aren't evolving.
So how do you break past that ceiling? If focusing purely on your own physical survival limits you, the next logical step would require looking outward, which brings us to the third tier, the Earth Immortal.
And the Earth Immortal represents a massive shift in perspective. Master Zhongli calls this one a medium success. So to break past the limits of the human immortal, the practitioner has to harmonize with the fundamental rules of the universe. They have to study the ascent and descent of heaven and earth and the cycles of the sun and moon.
The text leans really heavily into metaphors here. It talks about differentiating the clear from the murky and balancing yin and yang. And it specifically mentions the dragon and tiger and water and fire. These sound like poetic descriptions of nature, but there is a technical process happening here, isn't there?
Oh, there is a very specific internal alchemy at play. When Master Zhongli talks about balancing the dragon and the tiger, he is outlining a mechanism of internal cultivation. The dragon typically represents our soaring, active mind or spirit, and the tiger represents our grounded, vital, physical energy.
Okay, so the Earth Immortal isn't just sitting on a rock admiring nature.
No, not at all. They are actively binding their mental focus to their physical vitality. By harmonizing those internal forces with the external seasons and elements, they stop their body from degrading. They achieve a tremendously long life right here in the human realm.
They figure out how to thrive symbiotically within the system, rather than fighting it or obsessively optimizing just one tiny corner of it like the human immortal.
Exactly.
But even that is only a medium success, because eventually, mastering the physical world just isn't enough.
And that limitation leads to the fourth grade, the spirit immortal, which is sometimes translated as the divine immortal. After a long existence in harmony with the physical world, the practitioner eventually tires of the human realm. The mechanism here shifts from preservation to transformation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they continue to refine their physical form until it converts entirely into pure energy. They shed the mortal body like an old coat, leave the human dust behind, and ascend to the immortal mountains, or the three islands.
So they outgrow the physical world entirely. I mean, in almost any other philosophical framework, becoming a being of pure energy who ascends to a paradise island would be the absolute peak. But Zhongli says there is one final, ultimate level.
The absolute peak is the heavenly immortal. And what distinguishes the heavenly immortal from the spirit immortal is a really profound choice. They return.
They come back.
Yeah, they tire of those isolated, perfect, immortal islands. They consciously choose to lower themselves back into the messiness of the human world to pass on the Tao and teach others.
The ultimate achievement requires giving up the paradise you just earned. That is wild.
Because merit is the mechanism of ultimate ascension here. The text specifies that only through the merit of helping humans are they called to the 36 cave heavens, and then they progress through the 81 yang heavens.
Okay, let's clarify those terms for a second, because cave heavens and yang heavens can sound a bit like fantasy video game levels.
Right, yeah. They are much better understood as ascending states of refined consciousness. They aren't literal physical places with clouds and golden gates. They represent a progressive dissolving of the ego.
Got it.
The heavenly immortal moves through these refined states of being until they finally return to the ultimate realm of pure nothingness and nature, basically the source of all things.
Okay, so Master Zhongli has just outlined this overwhelming cosmic ladder. You have everything from empty ghosts to beings of pure energy returning to the void. Now put yourself in the shoes of Lu Dongbin, the ambitious student. You are being offered the secrets of the universe. You obviously want the top prize. You want the heavenly immortal methods immediately. But his reaction is completely shocking.
It is. Lu's response grounds the entire cosmic dialogue in a really startling reality. He tells his master that he absolutely does not want to be ghost immortal.
I mean, nobody wants to be Deadwood.
True. But then he says, I also don't dare hope to become a heavenly immortal. Instead, he pragmatically asks to learn the methods for the middle three only. Just the earth, human, and spirit immortals.
See, here's where it gets really interesting. I have to push back on Lu's approach here. Is this really profound self-awareness, or is it just like false modesty?
How do you mean?
Well, if my boss pulled me aside and offered to mentor me to become the CEO of the company, I wouldn't look at them and say, please just teach me how to be a middle manager first. It sounds like an ancient case of imposter syndrome.
I get that. In a corporate hierarchy, turning down the CEO track might be foolish. But in the framework of Taoist alchemy, jumping to the top without foundational work doesn't just mean you are underqualified. It means the process will literally destroy you. Mastery here is strictly sequential.
Oh, I see.
Zhongli agrees to Lu's request because he knows you absolutely cannot skip the steps.
So asking for the heavenly method would have turned him into a ghost immortal anyway.
Inevitably, yeah. Forcing a spiritual leap without the physical prerequisite burns you out. Zhongli explicitly tells him that the methods for the earth, human, and spirit immortals all stem from the exact same fundamental truth. They're just different stages of realizing that truth. Human and earth methods are the necessary physical groundwork to prepare the vessel for the spiritual transformations that come later.
That makes the master's reaction make a lot more sense. Because Zhongli spends days sitting there in the mountains, tirelessly passing on his secret formulas for the middle path. He agrees because he knows Lu has the potential to go all the way, even if Lu won't claim it for himself yet.
And we know others see it too. Later in the text, a visiting immortal named Shi Zhenren observes Lu. He points out that Lu's spirit is clear, his eyes are bright, and his desire to learn is incredibly genuine. The masters recognize the structural integrity of a student who actually respects the sequence of mastery.
Which brings us to this brilliant structural pivot in the text. We've been deep in the theoretical weeds of internal alchemy, yin and yang, ascending consciousness. And suddenly, the text just pauses the main dialogue to drop in this highly specific, totally bizarre anecdote about another master named Zheng Xiyuan.
It is a striking narrative choice. So the text takes us to the Wuji Mountain where Zheng Xiyuan lived. And the story begins with an act of human violence. A female tiger in the area is killed by humans, and the father tiger is terrified and flees the mountain, leaving behind two vulnerable, crying cubs.
And Zheng Xiyuan, who is a powerful master who could have easily just stayed in his cave meditating, actually steps into the mess. He takes these two crying tiger cubs into his own home and raises them.
He literally integrates this fierce, wild element into his daily cultivation, and the mechanism of his compassion yields an incredible result. When the father tiger eventually returns to the mountain, he tracks down Zheng's home. But the beast doesn't attack.
Right.
The text explicitly states that the father tiger kneels in gratitude and simply refuses to leave Zheng's side.
The visual the text paints next is my absolute favorite detail,
Yeah.
because we eventually see Zheng casually traveling around, riding the massive father tiger like a horse, while the little tiger cub trots alongside him carrying his heavy medical books.
It's an amazing image.
It's nuts. But this isn't just a story about an ancient Dr. Dolittle. There's a high-stakes medical emergency that proves the depth of this bond.
Yeah, so Zheng has a friend named Xu Yi who develops a severe toothache. He comes to Zheng seeking treatment, and the specific medical remedies Zheng prescribes requires a highly dangerous component. A live tiger's whisker must be placed between the aching teeth.
Which sounds less like medicine and more like a really great way to lose your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, you are walking up to an apex predator and pulling at its face.
Under any normal circumstance, it would be fatal. But Zheng approaches the father tiger, retrieves the whiskers, and applies them to his friend's teeth. And throughout the entire agonizing procedure, the live tiger simply sits perfectly still, allowing Zheng to do what he needs to do.
And the text notes that Zheng later ascends as a fully realized immortal, known as Danyang Zhenren. So I love a bizarre animal story, but we have to ask, why drop this wild animal taming story right in the middle of a serious philosophical text about cosmic ascension? What is the underlying logic here?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the story is the perfect, practical illustration of the Earth Immortal stage we decoded earlier. It redefines the entire concept of what power actually looks like.
How so?
Well, consider how a lesser practitioner, say, our ghost immortal looking for a quick result, might handle a dangerous tiger. They might use force or weapons or a magic spell to dominate the beast and bend it to their will.
Right. They would force it to submit out of fear.
Exactly. But Zheng didn't conquer this fearsome creature with dominance. He won its absolute unwavering loyalty through radical empathy. He looked at a terrifying situation, identified the vulnerable root of the issue, the orphan cubs, and he healed it.
Wow.
The tiger's submission, allowing its whiskers to be used to heal someone else, is the natural byproduct of a restorative relationship. True mastery is about restoring harmony to the environment around you, not just leveling up your own personal power.
It's the difference between demanding submission and inspiring devotion. The tiger serves the master because the master served the tiger's family first. And I want you, the listener, to just pause and think about the tigers in your own life right now. The difficult, intimidating problems in your workplace or your community. Are you trying to dominate them with brute force, or are you looking for the vulnerable root of the issue so you can actually heal it?
It completely reframes our approach to conflict. And, that profound lesson in compassion is precisely what sets the stage for the absolute climax of this text. Because Lu, our pragmatic student, is about to be faced with a defining, rebellious choice about his own destiny.
Right. So we jump back to the mountain, where the dialogue between Lu and Master Zhongli is suddenly interrupted by the arrival of a divine messenger. God has sent a direct decree.
The messenger announces a massive cosmic shift. Master Zhongli has been officially promoted. He is to become a high immortal of the ninefold Golden Gate, and he is ordered to ascend to the upper realm immediately.
His decades of practice have finally paid off. And before he ascends, Zhongli makes sure his student is taken care of. He gives Lu golden texts, jade talismans, and golden elixir pills.
Yeah, the ultimate toolkit.
He provides Lu with everything for his own eventual ascension. He tells Lu, stay here, practice in the human world, accumulate merit. In 10 years, I will meet you at Dongting Lake, and you can follow me up to heaven.
Zhongli is offering him the ultimate exit strategy. It is a guaranteed path out of a suffering world, a promise of eternal reward. All Lu has to do is follow the established timeline.
But Lu refuses.
Yeah.
It's a moment of pure, staggering rebellion. He bows to his master, but he outright rejects the traditional path. He looks at this cosmic being who is literally preparing to step into the divine realm, and he says, my ambition is different from yours.
It is arguably the most powerful moment in the text. Lu declares a new vow. He states that he must liberate and save all sentient beings in the human world before he will ever agree to ascend to the upper realm himself.
Wait, he just looked his cosmic master in the eye and said no thanks. The master is holding the door open to paradise, and Lu steps back into the mess of the world and says, I'm not leaving until everyone else gets to come with me.
And Master Zhongli ascends on the clouds, leaving Lu behind on the mountain to do the work.
The tension in that final image is just incredible. You have the master achieving his well-earned personal ascension, contrasted directly against the student's crushing sense of collective responsibility. It almost feels like Lu is rejecting the master's teachings.
At first glance, it might look like a rejection, but what's fascinating here is that if we synthesize the entire text, Lu's rebellious choice is actually the ultimate fulfillment of his master's philosophy.
Wait, really? How does refusing ascension fulfill the teaching?
Think back to the very first hierarchy Zhongli laid out, the 5 grades of immortals. What was the defining characteristic of the absolute highest tier, the heavenly immortal?
Oh. The heavenly immortal is the one who tires of the isolated paradise islands and chooses to return to the human world to pass on the Tao.
Exactly. Lu recognizes that he doesn't need to leave the human world and come back down later to achieve that state. By making his vow to stay and save all sentient beings, Lu embodies the ideal of the heavenly immortal right from the start. He realizes that true mastery isn't an escape hatch. It is a tool meant to be used in the trenches. He refuses to view his own enlightenment as complete while others are still suffering.
It is the ultimate ancient blueprint for servant leadership. He recognizes that the power and knowledge he has accumulated are utterly useless if they only serve his own advancement.
It ties everything together perfectly. Lu is looking at the entire human race with the exact same radical empathy that Zheng Xiyuan used when he looked at those crying tiger cubs.